As future student affairs professionals, our desire is to be able to advocate for students and to help them come into their own.
In order to do this well, it is imperative that we learn the needs of students from various groups, particularly those we may not be as familiar with.
For that reason, we chose to dive deeper into the student life and culture of LGBTQ+ students through Pride organizations at both Illinois Wesleyan and Illinois State University. We performed a qualitative study in which we observed LGBTQ+ culture on both campuses by attending Pride meetings, social events, drag shows, and interviewing executive board members of Pride from both universities, in addition to library research.
ISU Pride is comprised of a fun and energetic group of students focused on providing a safe, social, and educational atmosphere for all queer and allied students of Illinois State and the surrounding community. We witnessed them accomplish this through attending several meetings and events that are open to both campus and community members.
At Wesleyan, the Pride Alliance is made up of a group of passionate and creative students. The IWU Pride Alliance is dedicated to equality for all students regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. They focus on socially, politically, and culturally relevant events to engage queer and allied students at IWU. This was evident in the topics of the meetings that we attended.
Though both groups are focused on creating a safe environment for LGBTQ+ students on their respective campuses, there were several contrasting points between ISU and Wesleyan Pride groups, as well as cultural norms that were unique to each campus. Here's what we found out. ISU has a designated space on campus just for Pride. The space is called the Institute and is located on campus on Main Street across from Metcalf. Pride meetings were very structured, organized, and almost businesslike, sticking to the topic scheduled for that particular meeting. ISU Pride also has access to quite a few resources, like the space previously mentioned, and a budget. They also have specific faculty dedicated to supporting the group, falling under the Office of Diversity Advocacy, which has 3 professional staff members and 2 graduate assistants. Through research, we found this to be typical of a mid-size institution, generally receiving more resources and support than smaller campuses. Check out what Pride President Cassie Winters has to say about ISU's institutional commitment to LGBTQ+ students.
Yeah, I think that argument has a lot of different points of view depending on your specific identity. I know that for the LGBT community at least, it's a lot of like, we support you on paper and we support you in these photos and like we're diverse and stuff like that, which is what most people agree with. But I think that it's easy for them to like say that they support us because we have been given the LGBT/Queer Studies and Services Institute, which is where we have our meetings. But you've been there, it's far off campus and it's all our meetings are at night, so it's dark when you're walking there, and it's a very inaccessible place, especially for like handicapped folks or folks who may not live on campus. So that's a difficult conversation because like we have that space and we've been given that space and it's for us specifically. So that's like really nice, but like also it's a place that is kind of like, it could be better and like it could be in a better location and could have like more funding so that we can do more things in it. But I do think that most of the work that is done that I see as supportive for us is through like faculty and staff or community members. I don't think that ISU as a whole, like as an institution, is the best, and it could be better. I mean, I can't complain because we do have like a lot of good things, but there are definitely some things that could be worked on or changed.
Wesleyan student culture differed from ISU quite a bit. Unlike ISU, IWU Pride does not have their own building, but instead their designated meeting space is in the basement of the Evelyn Chapel on campus. Meetings were much less structured and instead were more laid back and go with the flow. Students frequently got off topic, and meeting culture felt more like hanging out with a group of friends than an actual student organization meeting. Through talking with students, we also found that Pride at Wesleyan has fewer resources and receives less funding. And because of the smaller size of the institution, there are less faculty employed to support students, having only 2 full-time staff members to oversee the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. But Pride's direct advisor is not from this office. President of Pride, Jackson Garrett, provides us with the student perspective on Wesleyan's institutional commitment.
I think Wesleyan fully says they're committed to diversity and inclusion on our campus, and I think that others do it better than others, if that makes sense. I think that our Office of Diversity and Inclusion does a great job. Being an oral, I think they did a pretty good job of kind of promoting queer programming and using queer issues to promote diversity. Something that we've recently been we as Pride, have been working of planning is kind of pushing to have more classes that teach LGBTQ anything, really, honestly. Yeah, anything. We don't have a queer studies on this campus. It's very small, so I'm not really mad about that. But I also, as a sociology major, would have loved to have, I don't know, we have a sex and gender class, but it was very much sex and gender 100 kind of situation. It was this is what it's like to be transgender, on this huge conceptual level that was really easy for people who didn't understand what that even meant to understand. But beyond that, as someone who is in the queer community and knows a little more than that, I would like to say I'd like a little bit of queer history, or focus on something in a music class about their actual lifestyle and stuff and how they influence their music, just things like that. So it's something that Pride has been kind of reaching out to professors and seeing if they can start expanding their classes to include that kind of stuff. And then hopefully from there, maybe we can actually get some classes that are have that as the central focus. And yeah.
Okay, so just a clarifying question. You said that some do it better than others. Do you mean just specific offices on campus?
Yes.
Or did you mean other campuses do it better than IWU?
Well, both, but I meant offices, but
okay.
Yeah, other campuses absolutely do it better than Wesleyan.
Okay.
I think that there is better support in places that have, I'm not going to defend it. I was going to say they have better resources, but this is an expensive ass college. The fact that we don't have resources is kind of just a misuse of money. But ISU, I know, has an entire building and faculty that are dedicated to just queer students, and we could have that here. You know what I mean? We could have that, something like that, and we could have more in-depth support from administration and stuff like that.
Despite these institutional differences, both Pride groups demonstrated a commitment to educating members on relevant issues within the LGBTQ+ community. One topic that came up during meetings or events for both groups is safe sex. In a research article, Goen and Wings Yanez state that lesbian, gay, and bisexual youth are less likely to receive comprehensive sexual education, as this education is provided from a heterocentric perspective. In order to combat this issue, Pride at ISU put on a safe sex presentation for its members that was inclusive of the LGBTQ+ community and provided free condoms at multiple events. Both organizations also brought in outside partners that offered free STI testing during their drag shows. Displayed here are some of the meetings that we were able to attend. One of those meetings included Frankly Gay, a visit from an alumni of ISU Pride, Frank, who spoke about his experiences as being a gay man at ISU, as well as his time in the military.
We attended drag shows at both IWU and ISU. Both shows included professional and student drag performers. Both organizations also donated the proceeds from the shows to LGBTQ+ supporting organizations. A study by Burberry and Johnson states that while there has been increased media coverage of drag queens with shows such as RuPaul's Drag Race, little attention has been paid to drag kings. We experienced this difference in attention firsthand when we witnessed that the drag kings at both shows were tipped significantly less than the drag queens.
Something else that we noticed during the drag shows was the unique language that was used by the drag queens. In a research article, Simmons states that drag queens have culturally unique ways of speaking. Some examples provided in this article are queens saying to look like a fish, meaning to look like a woman, and not to be hungry, meaning not to be too competitive. While we did not have the opportunity to hear how the drag kings and queens interacted with each other, we got to speak with Jackson about drag and LGBTQ plus culture and language.
Do you mean like terminology or like slang? Or both, I'm assuming?
I was like watching RuPaul and I was like
confused.
And gagged.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I was gonna say, I was like, honestly, like drag queen terminology is literally another language, so you can go with that, but that's not in like the daily vernacular for a lot of people. I mean, there's a certain kind of level of understanding and just basic knowledge that you need to understand how to speak about queer issues, understanding if it's right or not to say queer, what that even encompasses, like stuff like that. But then you have, beyond that, you have just words like snatched and like shit like that like the gays love to use, which like in reality, majority of those words were originally created by Black women. So I mean, I can't even fully say that's our words originally or anything. Some of them were definitely created by like I would say especially drag queens, but for the most part, it's usually Black women and kind of so we're taking that kind of language, I guess, for our own.
Like adopting it.
Adopting. Thank you. That sounds a lot better than like gentrifying.
Myths and stereotypes exist for every population of people. According to You Can Tell Just by Looking and 20 Other Myths About LGBT Life and People by Bronsky, Pellegrini, and Amico, myths are sometimes used as a way to get short, quick answers to complicated questions. Some of the myths identified by these authors are that sexual abuse causes homosexuality, transgender people are mentally ill, and LGBT parents are bad for children. In the following video, we asked Val what LGBTQ plus myths they would like to debunk.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but most people, or people who are transgender, they don't have to go to the surgery to consider themselves transgender. It's not they don't have to go to the surgery as part of their identity. Actually, for one of my English classes, I'm doing, we had like a red letter to a politician based on an issue, and in Alabama currently, in order for a transgender person to get their like new gender identity on a license, they have to, like a driver's license or like state ID, they have to have proof of going through surgery or have undergone transition surgery, which is kind of dumb because like what if like if I were to transition into a man, I wouldn't want, like I don't want to change my body parts for that to have just like say male on my driver's license, right? Like, so I feel like people don't have to have transgender, like they're like don't have to change their body to be transgender. So I feel like that's a myth to debunk.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like having to be so like intrusive just to like change your driver's license.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need to know what's like under my clothes?
And they don't even have like an option for non-binary, because I was thinking about this and I was like, well, I want to change my like gender on my license to non-binary, but I was talking to my girlfriend and she's like, yeah, I don't think like the United States is progressive enough to do that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, so even like small things like that.
Through all of our observations and research, we were thankful to learn more about LGBTQ plus culture and to be welcomed into the Pride organizations on both campuses as friends rather than researchers. We look forward to building more relationships like these in our future careers as student affairs professionals. Thanks, Pride!